सर्वे सुखिनो भवन्तु, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात्. Let all be happy, let all be free from ailments, let all be blessed with the vision of truth, beauty and goodness. Let misery touch none. This is our humble prayer at the holy lotus feet of our sister, very dear sister, Sister Nivedita. Swami Sukadevananda ji, the head, the secretary of this center, Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit, Chennai. Swami Padmasthananda ji, the head of our center at Tinagar. Satyogyanananda ji, the head of our students home here in Chennai. Very, very revered Srimad Swami Somananda ji Maharaj, I may be slightly, I may make mistake in pronouncing the proper nouns, pronouncing the names. I hope you excuse me for my probable mistakes. Very illustrious principal of this great and esteemed institute, Dr. Tirunava Karasu. Am I right? Not far behind the status of being right. Not far behind. Okay. Swami Mukti Mayananda ji Maharaj, the monk in charge of the evening section of this college. Very illustrious, esteemed and respected members of the faculty, our old friend, this grand old man, Sambhavati. Am I right? Huh? And then my friend Advocate Venugopal sitting here. Very, very dear boys of this institution, which is of international repute. I am familiar to this institution, or rather, this institution is familiar to me for a pretty long period now. I knew this institution at least for last 5 decades. But then the worth of the institution was revealed to me some 3 decades back. I remember I went to Delhi for some governmental work. I had an appointment with Dr. Venugopal Reddy, who was Joint Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, Government of India, Economic Affairs. And then I was to go at a particular time to Shastri Bhavan to meet him, and the meeting was scheduled in his chamber. But then, to my utter surprise, I found the gentleman standing in front of the reception to receive me. Nobody does it, never it happens. And then he touched my feet and told, Swamiji, I am your disciple. I asked him, how come you are my disciple? So he told that I am a student, I am an ex-student of your Vivekananda College at Madras. And you all know his illustrious career. He was governor of the Reserve Bank of India, and maybe now he is having a very onerous assignment with the World Bank. So I salute this college, this great institution, which has produced, like Venugopal Reddy, a lot of illustrious alumni. And then I must express my gratitude to Swami Sukadevanandaji, the secretary of this institution, who has so kindly remembered me and then given me this excellent opportunity this afternoon to be here, to be with you, and also to share some of my thoughts with you, which I am going to do very soon. I have been here for a couple of hours now. I have been here earlier also. But whatever I have seen today, I am greatly impressed. I have a statement that in my childhood, when my father or parents put me in a formal educational institution, I have not been away from educational institution for 50 years. 50 years since then. So my association with educational institution is very long, very deep, and my commitment is explicit. Now, what happens? I have had the privilege of seeing the best of the institutions that we have in our country. With all this, I tell you, and don't mistake me, I don't appease you. I tell you, this is one of the best that I have seen in my life. And I am extremely impressed by the demeanor of the boys, by the discipline of the boys, by the hospitality that is extended to me, by my brothers and also the learned members of the faculty. And I am thankful to all of you, the members of the faculty, my young brothers, and certainly to the boys of this great institution. Now, what happens? We have heard about Nivedita. Two boys spoke about Nivedita. Our Swamis also spoke about Nivedita, and Swamiji. We know enough of it. But what I was feeling when I was sitting there, I was feeling that certain things are there which maybe, even if the members of the faculty knows it, even if the monk brothers know it, but then maybe that boys do not know it. So I wanted to share a few things. I wanted to share because we are just through 150th of Swami Vivekananda. And Swami Vivekananda is not a discovery of Bengal. Swami Vivekananda is a discovery of the South. Swami Vivekananda belongs more to the South than to Bengal, more to Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore than to what you call, or for that matter even Trivandrum, than to Kolkata. Which is why I feel that Vivekananda is a phenomenon which we cannot skip, even in the context of Nivedita. Nivedita herself said somewhere that after the demise of Swamiji, after Mahasamadhi of Swamiji, Swamiji will not be so much remembered by the people for some time. Which means that Swamiji will be forgotten by a section of people, if not by many of them, many people in the society, at least a section of people for some time. Swamiji will resurrect, Nivedita says, in his 150th anniversary. And we are just through it. I am fortunate. I consider myself very privileged that I got the opportunity of being in the committee either headed by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, headed by the President of India, not by the President, I mean the then Finance Minister of India, or for that matter the Defense Minister of India, for that matter the West Bengal Chief Minister, so on and so forth. I was a member in every committee, every subcommittee that is associated with Swami Vivekananda in the 150th, which is why I have a special privilege and I have an access to what happened all throughout the globe, all around the globe. I will, we do not have much of time. You have your prize distribution, some classical music program, and I don't want to stand in between the two. I will briefly touch upon one or two or three, incidents. I am sure that will give you a glimpse how Vivekananda is spreading like wildfire all over the world. To begin with, I was speaking at a similar function in Mumbai, where my colleague on the stage was R. Chidambaram, the principal advisor, scientific advisor to the Prime Minister, and also Sri Kumar Banji, chairman of the Bhabha Atomic Research Institute. Now, I was speaking about Swamiji vis-a-vis Anna Hazare. Anna Hazare, and Hazare is a creation of Swamiji? Don't know. Hazare was completely disappointed, frustrated. He lost all hopes of his life when he was a young man. And Hazare decided to commit suicide. He went to Delhi station. He targeted a train. Thanks to Indian Railway, it was late. It was late by 10 minutes. And Hazare thought what to do within these 10 minutes. Then he was walking to and fro on the platform and saw a book, Vivekananda Speaks to You, in a glass almirah. Took it out, started reading. He felt he can start over a new leaf. He can live this life afresh. And today, Hazare is Hazare. Hazare is a household name in Maharashtra. Hazare is a Magsaysay awardee, and Hazare is an international personality living in Ahmednagar in Maharashtra, near Pune. Now, when I even spoke about Narendra Modi, that Modi didn't want to become a politician, perhaps not. Modi didn't want to become Chief Minister of Gujarat or Prime Minister of India. Modi came to Belur Math to become a sadhu of Belur, a monk of Belur Math. Many people do not know it. Do you? Modi came to Belur Math in early 60s to join Belur Math as a monk. And then the then president of Belur Math told, no, you have to be more educated. And then he went back. And then, he started dreaming Vivekananda. He started, thinking of leading his life in Vivekananda way. And today, Modi is what he is. Now, when I spoke about Hazare and Modi, one lady sitting in the front, she told Swamiji, she rather interrupted me. She told Swamiji, may I have a couple of minutes from you on the dais? How can I give you a couple of minutes? I am an invited guest to speak here. If you want to speak from this dais, you have to contact the organizers. She contacted and she got a chance to speak. And she told that, look, my name is, will you mind if I tell her name? No. My name is Kangana Ranawat. My name is Kangana Ranawat. I was completely lost. I decided to commit suicide. And then I came across Vivekananda. And then, after reading Vivekananda, I am today what I am today. And when I came out of the auditorium, after my speech, after the function was over, I found, my God, an ocean of crowd. Lot of people, especially young boys and girls like you. And then police people, media. I asked some media people, who is she? she is the number one actress of India today. So now you have seen a social activist, you have seen a politician, you have seen a film actress, very prominent, renowned film actress, number one of India, how they are influenced, their lives are influenced by Vivekananda. Now, I will go abroad. You all know that computer baron, Bill Gates. Bill Gates. Now, you know Bill Gates runs a lot of foundation in India. And Bill Gates very frequently come to India, especially to Delhi. So, a couple of years back, Gates was in Delhi and the Delhi Press Club approached him, and then one of the questions that Press Club asked him was, Gates, you are from a very humble background, and then how come you are at the crest today? You are at the Everest today? Gates told that the secret doesn't lie in America, secret lies in India. What is that secret? Secret is Swami Vivekananda. When I was a school-going boy, I come from a middle-class family. When I was a school-going boy, I came across Vivekananda. Vivekananda, not the person, his ideas, his books, his works. And even today, wherever I am in the world, be it in a government guest house, be it in South Africa or in America or in Australia or in India, I never retire before reading a few lines from Swami Vivekananda. That's what not a monk says. Swami Sukadevanandaji doesn't say this. Bill Gates says this. So now what happens? You know, the other day when I was in Mumbai, one girl came and asked for an appointment, and then I asked him, I agreed to meet her. She came, that girl, not very educated. She came and she told that, Swamiji, I do not know whether you have heard about me. My name is Arunima Sinha. When I was reading in college, I got a job. I was going to that place to join my job. And then, you know, I was passing by a train. The people, ruffians, they got into the compartment, wanted to snatch away my gold, my purse, my money, everything. I resisted. So they threw me on the track. I was lying whole night. I was lying in between the lines, rail lines, two lines, in between the two lines. Many trains went. And when the sun was rising, it was in a village. Naturally, the criminals do not commit crime in station, keeping so many people witness. They do it in a desolate place. It was a village, the peasants were going for cultivating, and then they found that a girl or a boy, whosoever he is, somebody is lying on the track and groaning under heavy agony. They went and they found this girl, and then they took this girl to the local health care unit. They immediately referred her to a bigger hospital. Her right leg was totally chopped. Her right leg was totally chopped. So the moment she was taken to a big hospital, she was told by the doctors that immediately the right leg has to be amputated. She agreed, it was done. Then Arunima came across the biography of Bachendri Pal. And she felt that I must be a mountaineer and I must have the I must scale the Everest. So people poo-pooed at her that you do not have legs. The women who have legs, they couldn't scale Everest as yet, and you dream of scaling Everest. She started mountaineering. Couple of years back, she had been to the Everest, and then, you know, there was gusty wind, sandstorm. Nothing could be seen. Arunima's coach, Arunima's manager, they all told, Arunima, come away, you will be killed, you will die. Arunima didn't hear. Arunima told, no, I cannot die because I have photograph of Swami Vivekananda in my breast, and I have Swami Vivekananda in my heart. And then the storm settled down, nobody was there around, and then she was feeling suffocation. Then she thought that maybe really I will die. Who will save me? I am not able to breathe properly. And then when she looked around, she found a oxygen cylinder left by someone who went in a huff because of the sandy storm. And then Arunima went, took up the cylinder, breathed to her heart's content, became fresh, went to the Everest. Arunima, without the right leg, having amputated leg, having an artificial leg, is the first woman in the world to scale the Everest. And she says, it is not mine, it is Vivekananda. And then she told Swamiji, the concept was that Everest is the highest peak in the world. But nowadays, the concept has changed because a new peak has been discovered in Russia, in Helsinki. And I'm going to scale that peak. A few months back, I saw it in the newspaper that this girl has scaled Helsinki, the highest peak today in the world. And that is because of Vivekananda. To cut the story short, I will refer to a book. I do not know whether this book is in your library. If this book is not in your library, you should go in for this book. The title of the book is wonderful. The Gift Unopened. Usually we write books on gift opened, but this is a book, Gift Unopened, written by a scientist couple of Harvard University, Mrs. and Mr. Eleanor Turk. They are still in Harvard University, and they have written in the preface of this book, The Gift Unopened, that Jesus sent us a gift 100 years back. It's more than 100 years that Jesus sent us a gift, and we are so lazy, we didn't bother to open the gift, untie the gift, and see what it was all about. Better late than never. Come and let us see for ourselves what it was all about. And then the gift was opened, the red ribbon was untied, and the gift was Swami Vivekananda. Jesus sent us a gift no called Swami Vivekananda 100 years back to Americans. And then in the very first line of the very first chapter of that book says, if Columbus discovered the soil of America, Vivekananda discovered the soul of America. If Columbus discovered the soil of America, Vivekananda discovered the soul of America. Vivekananda didn't only discover the soul of America, Vivekananda rediscovered the soul of India as well. Which is why sister says, as this boy referred to, just breathing her last in Roy Villa in Darjeeling, the residence of the famous scientist Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose. Before breathing her last, she had a prophetic comment. She says, sun will rise. The boat is sinking. The boat is sinking, but the sun is yet to rise. She is sinking. Her body is sinking, but the son named Swami Vivekananda is to rise. And he rised. He resurrected in 150th. Which is why we remember sister, and we are heading towards 150th of sister to take place in 2017-18 in the Ramakrishna Mountain Mission. And our actual 150th will be 1617 because she was born in 1867 in Ireland. She was a design of the divine. Her father told her father's friend told, who was a clergy, he told that one day a call from the east will come from this child. And when her father was dying in deathbed, she called her mother. He called her mother and told, when the call comes, don't stop her. Her mother didn't stop her. Call came to Margaret Noble from Swami Vivekananda of India. And Nivedita is India's, India is Nivedita's. Swamiji was condensed India, and Swami Vivekananda is Nivedita's. Nivedita is Swami Vivekananda's. And with these few words, we remember our dearest sister. We pay our regards at her holy lotus feet, and we pray to her. We pray to her that she make men of ourselves. Once again, I thank you so much, so very much, so profusely for all the hospitality that you have extended to me, and you have tolerated me for such a long time on the dais. Thank you.